Hello humans, it is I, Mr. Bell, coming at you with one more exercise that has to do with both the ideas of symmetry and of the ideas of negative space. I remember that if I was to fold this paper in half or draw a line down the middle, one side looks like the other side. That is mirror image symmetry. But there's another kind of symmetry, and that is symmetry kind of around an axis. So you got your circle that I already drew this design in the middle. This is a symmetrical design. Goes all around a center point, right? There is a little dot here in the middle that I'm going to design this whole design around. Everything that is on the top is the same as the bottom. Everything that is on the left is the same as the right. Everything that is on the top is the same as the right, etc. Basically, every part of this design I'm going to repeat it the same amount of times around that access point. I'm going to build it out from the middle. And we're going to build them, kind of as far as you want. Think of this as kind of like doing a Zentangle, in that we're kind of looking for those types of designs. But again, everything should be a mirror image of itself over and over again around this center access point rather than on either side. We also want to really be focusing on the idea of negative space. We are literally going to take X-Acto knives and we're going to cut out chunks of this paper, which means that we're going to want to leave like big or relatively big open shapes that we can cut out, right? So these lines are going to be really hard to cut out, obviously, with an X-Acto knife, because there's no there's no way to take out that paper. So as I'm going to design this, I'm going to keep that in mind, that I want both just lines and I want closed shapes that you can cut around the whole thing with an X-Acto knife, to literally let the viewer see what is behind this design. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'm going to make this design, rather than just being a line design, I'm going to make it into a closed shape design. And I'm going to do that simply by connecting these little arms that I made to the bottom part of their triangle. Bam, closed shape, 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 and closed shape. So, it's already beginning to fall apart a little bit as far as that symmetry goes. So just like when we're doing the mirror versions of symmetry, we really want to double check our work every time, and I notice this one's a little bit small, so I'm going to grow it out just a little bit. Going to do the finishing touches on all of them. These are going to work a lot better if you work slowly and carefully. And remember that trick of kind of maybe thickening some lines in places. It's a really good, easy trick to kind of make things maybe a little bit more symmetrical, and that you can grow and shrink those shapes depending on how thick you make that line. Think of this as kind of making an abstract version of what you see when you look down a kaleidoscope. Essentially, inside that kaleidoscope, there's a hexagon or an octagon or some sort of shape tube that's lined with mirrors, and it makes those crazy designs because it's reflecting upon itself over and over and over again. But it only works that way because those mirrors are placed inside there very symmetrically. So I think you kind of get where I'm going with this. I want to make this video pretty short. I'm going to kind of expand my design again, but again, thinking about making those closed shapes that I can go back with and cut out with an X-Acto knife. To create that idea of negative space. I'm also going to draw, as I grow this design, I'm going to add designs that maybe like are in the spots here, right? The negative space here that I'm going to end up keeping, and I'm going to take out this, what would be the positive space, right? So I want to decorate and make an interesting design on the portions that I'm going to keep. right? I'm not going to put anything in these closed shapes because it's going to be a waste of time because I'm going to cut them out with an X-Acto knife, right? But I want to improve, I want to make this, the part that you are going to see, I want that to be interesting to look at too. And I'm going to fill that again with kind of my kaleidoscope type of symmetry. Remember, when you're doing this, you always want to be working from that center access point, which means that you are going to start small, and as you do this, you're going to grow this, right? So your designs are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as you grow it out. And you want to kind of maybe think about creating these symmetrical designs to be pretty complicated in spots and maybe simple in spots. Again, think of this kind of as a Zentangle, but with that idea of symmetry and the idea we're going to cut out big chunks of this, right? And thinking about that background that we're going to put behind it when we actually go make the finalized art, which again is going to be you taking your designs that you make, or something kind of akin to that. We're going to be cutting holes in symmetrical designs and using the photograph that we take behind it as kind of a part of that design. So I really do want to keep this short. I think you get where I'm going. I want you to grow this until you get it big enough. You don't have to necessarily fill up the whole page, but you don't want to leave a big old chunk there. If you want to cut off like the edge of your designs for this, we can totally make that happen too. I don't think anybody's going to be ready for X-Acto knives today. Maybe, who knows? We're going to use these designs that you are currently making as kind of maybe a little bit of a practice X-Acto knife zone, or maybe you might choose to just make it your finalized piece. See you in a second.